committing the offense of treasonable felony against the Nigerian state. Such allegations have almost become a recurring decimal since the announcement of Bola Tinubu as president-elect on March 1, 2023 by the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmood Yakubu. At a point, some of Obi's accusers asked him to leave the country as, according to them, his absence will relieve the mounting pressure on the polity. And when he eventually did, stories began to emerge about how he ran into trouble with UK authorities over the current status of his international passport. We're now being joined by Nana Kazaure, a spokesperson of the Labour Party, for us to find out from her what exactly led to the unpleasant experience of Peter Obi in the United Kingdom and what political fallout, if there ever was, has ensued from it. Good morning, Nana. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Steve. Good morning, Oji. Good morning, Shaitan. Good morning, Nigerians. Thank you for having me.
Thank you indeed.
For being here.
All right, so let's go straight into it. What are the issues? Is Peter Obi, the candidate of your party during the presidential election, being hounded by the federal government of Nigeria? And could you tell us in precise terms what actually happened to him at the London airport when he was interrogated and, as we heard, when he was detained? Is he out now? Is he back in Nigeria? And what was his offense?
Okay, to shed any light as far as we know, those questions, you should be asking the Nigerian government that question. They're the ones that have the answers to why his international passport, if at all, could have been cloned. They're the ones that have the information and the national identity card processing that even happened. So who has access to our database, in our passport offices, in the national database? Who has access, if not the Nigerian government? Because it's very strange to Nigerians to wake up in the morning and hear that His Excellency Peter Obi's identity has been cloned. So that is, for lack of a better word, that is a huge omission on our security. Who is able to breach Nigeria's security in such a manner? Those are the questions that we are asking, because, like you pointed out in your introduction, it's seemingly as if at every point in time, everything is being thrown at us, including the kitchen sink, and we're wondering why. Just because we have come on board as a force to reckon with, just because we have come on board and we have come to change the political discourse in Nigeria, just because we have come on board, we ask questions. You say we should go to court, we are in court. I don't understand why we are being hounded on a daily basis. I don't understand why it would seem as if the government and the spokespersons that even represent this party, the APC, just seem to think it's okay. You know, their spokespersons come out and all they do is ram, hit, throw everything that they have, and most of the things that they say are quite preposterous when you look at it. When you listen to, even on Arise recently, I talked about Mr. Festus Keyamo and his utterances and how they've been asking for our arrest. Nigeria is a country governed by law. We have rules that govern us. If anybody has breached those rules, then they in themselves can also go to court. Why not toe the line of restraint the same way our presidential candidate has done? Why not toe that line?
I knew it. Well, all right. So Peter Obi has denied rumors or even media speculations that he was issued a letter of apology by the British government in connection with his detention at Heathrow. Now, where do you think those rumors emanated from? And what is Mr. Peter Obi's stance right now as it is regards to receiving a letter of apology over the detention incident, or has he moved on from it? Secondly, there was a fake picture that was shared by members of the opposition showing the chairman of Nigerians in the diaspora, Abike Dabiri, superimposed with Peter Obi. She appeared to be, liaising with an immigration officer. Now, how would you describe that scenario?
I describe it as I wonder if APC, the APC, understand how important whatever role it is that they believe they're supposed to be taking on. I don't think they've fully understood the import of what it is that they're supposed to do. Why not celebrate your selective win, if you would like to? That's how I see it. Why not celebrate those wins? Why are you attacking? And I'm very glad that you mentioned a superimposed meme that kept going on around those photos of Abike Dabiri with Peter Obi. Why go so far to tell lies and foment trouble when there is none? Foment trouble with people who aren't making trouble with you. What we are just doing is we're asking questions and we refuse to forget. And they've done everything but show us in its entirety. They've done everything but show us sincerely that they really do want to bring in a government of national unity. Everything that they've done, the utterances of their, Mr. Onanuga very recently referred to the obedience as sons of blankety blank blank. And that was quite traumatic, because you would expect somebody in his early 60s to behave better, to do better. You see, very recently, Lai Mohammed, the Minister of Information, running to Washington to go and call for the arrest of Dr. Yusuf Deti Baba Ahmed, for the arrest of Peter Obi. And I'm wondering, why are they always so ill-advised? Why go to, let me tell you a story. Recently, I listened to Chief Emeka Anyoku at a lecture in Lagos. And I was one thing I took away from the thing he said was that he was now being given an appointment and he had to meet with the president of the time, late President Shehu Shagari. And he said that the president said to him, I know that you have been always speaking against my government, and and he said, let him take a leaf from Winston Churchill, where he said, Winston Churchill said, every time he was abroad, away from home, he would always, restrain himself from speaking against his home government. He would not speak against the British government in any form or fashion. But every time he came back home and he was on British soil, he would now, make up for lost time. That's how a government should be run. How do you start running to the UK, to America, to go and start asking for the arrest, and that's where you give. As the Minister of Information, I do expect such a man in such a position to sit down and talk with the Nigerian people. The time he used to get on a plane could have been used judiciously in Nigeria, on home soil, to speak to Nigerians, to say to Nigerians what it is they have to offer Nigerians as the Minister of Information, not to just go around and be. You claim somebody's being insightful and you turn around and do exactly the same thing you accuse another person of.
But has Mr. Peter Obi moved on from that particular incident? Do you think that he's still expecting an apology letter?
Mr. Peter Obi is not somebody that holds grudges. He's been, even throughout the elections, he's been a very, very, very civil individual in speech, in action, in the ways that he does his own things. If I know Peter Obi very well, His Excellency Peter Obi, I want to believe that he has moved on from it. If there's anything to be held against, he's the sort of person that, like, he obeys the rule of law. And we always say that with a lot of pride. He's not a vindictive character in any shape or form. There's no rhyme or reason why, if the British authorities have good reason to have wanted to check his passport because somebody was cloning it or somebody had cloned it, I doubt if there'll be no reason why he won't move on from such an unfortunate incident. He's a great man. He's a good man.
Well, there seems to be a lot of crisis going on right now within the Labour Party. Dispute was taking a notch higher this week when we're seeing this, the factions that have come up, between the Abure camp and the Apapa camp, continuing to struggle for the control of, the National Secretariat. It took the intervention of security operatives, including private security guards, engaged to secure the building to prevent a verbal altercation from degenerating into a free-for-all. Now, in the past, we've heard that, the presidential candidate of the party, Peter Obi, didn't want to get involved in any internal crisis. But with this current circumstances, it's looking that he's reaching out to both factions to address the situation and allow for a smooth running of the party's affairs. Now, how critical is this in curbing warring factions and prevailing on them to make sure that they don't escalate the crisis?
It's important, very, very critical at this point, because it's clear that these other factions are being sponsored. It's because it's coming out of left town all of a sudden, and we did not expect this. We would have been foolish not to have expected that they would come for us at the Juggernaut. And like you said, Mr. Peter Obi is a very deliberate character. He doesn't just jump into the foray and try to wield his sword of power. But because he is a chieftain and the president, he's the one that he's the uniting force in the Labour Party. He's a leader of the Labour Party, whether you like it or not. That is who he is. And so he's coming in to step in because it's gone a little bit too far. Is very timely, and Let's wait and see, but we do know that these factions that are coming in have been sponsored by our detractors, and we will not be distracted. We will not be distracted.
All right, Ajay Nana. Without prejudice to the petition of the Labour Party and Mr. Peter Obi to the tribunal, the Premium Times is reporting that with information that they now have access to from the INEX portal, that Mr. Peter Obi of the Labour Party, your candidate, won the Rivers State presidential election and not the president-elect, the candidate of the APC, Bola Tinubu, who was declared. Now there's a caveat from that report by Premium Times saying that even if that is upheld, it may not necessarily mean or translate to victory overall for Mr. Peter Obi. But I think that if that happens to be the case eventually, it means that Mr. Peter Obi will have won 12 states, including Abuja, and then Atiku of the PDP will retain his 12, and Bola Tinubu of APC will drop to 11 states, even though he has been declared as the winner. Without prejudice to the petition, what do you make of this report from Premium Times, which is, saying